The Adventist University of Sao Paulo in Brazil inaugurates the Museum of Biblical Archaeology, the first in Latin America. Evangelistic campaign in Nigeria leads thousands to baptism. Women from 10 districts gather at the annual conference in Taiwan to receive insights on discipleship. ADRA equips and empowers families in the production of organic gardens. Stay tuned for these and other good news on ANN. The first Museum of Biblical Archaeology in South America has been inaugurated. With around 3,000 original pieces and dozens of replicas, the museum stands out for its rich collection of evidence supporting biblical accounts.
Located at the Brazil Adventist University, the museum's tickets for its first 6 sessions sold out in about 4 minutes. It continues to experience extremely high demand, attracting visitors from different parts of the country. The museum's artifacts date back to as early as 2000 BC and come from various parts of the world, such as Israel, Egypt, Jordan, and some European countries. The exhibition narrates over 4,000 years of history through a timeline, dividing the phases from the early Bronze Age to the Byzantine period. The MAB Museum of Biblical Archaeology project was conceived 20 years ago by Dr. Rodrigo Silva. Dr. Silva is the host of the TV show Evidences, broadcast on TV Novo Tempo, the Adventist television channel in Brazil. He received a brief tribute during one of the most touching moments of the inauguration ceremony.
Thank you very much, because you are witnessing a great opportunity. I thank everyone who helped turn this dream into a reality. The BABI is a cultural heritage, I could say, with 3,000 original archaeological pieces and dozens of replicas that cover a period of 4,000 years of biblical history.
There is always room for gratitude. Several thanks have been made here. We will continue with the feeling of gratitude for God, allowing us to have today here at UNASP a milestone to announce that the Bible is the Word of God, and we believe in it. Praised be the name of the Lord for this.
The funding for the museum's construction primarily came from an online biblical course called Annotated Bible, taught by Dr. Silva himself, which reached over 30,000 students. One of these students was honored with a book containing the names of all these donors. The Brazil Adventist University president, Dr. Martin Kuhn, highlighted verse 8 of chapter 40 from the book of Isaiah, emphasizing the Word of God as the central point of the museum. Isaiah 40 verse 8, the grass withers, the flower falls, but the word of our God remains forever.
ADRA, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, is making a global impact by empowering communities and transforming lives through sustainable development. In southern India, ADRA has helped 10 families establish organic kitchen gardens, providing them with the means to generate income in efforts to assist families impacted by the recent pandemic.
இதற்கு முன்னால நாங்க இந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் நாங்க தொழில் செய்யவில்லை. கையில தான் நாங்க பாடுபட்டு வருவோம். ஆனாலும் இங்க வந்து இந்த ஆட்ர தொண்டு நிறுவனம் வந்து எங்களுக்கு எல்லாமே கத்து கொடுத்தாங்க. இப்படி எல்லாம் செய்யணும் அப்படினு கத்து கொடுத்தாங்க. அவங்களும் விதையும் எடுத்துன்னு வந்து மண்ணை நல்லா பதப்படுத்திட்டு எல்லாம் நாங்க வச்சோம். தக்காளி விதை, கத்திரிக்காய், அவரைக்காய் விதை, பாவக்காய் விதை, சோளம் எங்களுக்கு எல்லாமே உதவுச்சு.
கொரோனா டைமில் வந்து எங்களுக்கு சாப்பாட்டுக்கு ரொம்ப கஷ்டமாக இருந்து, அதுக்கப்புறம் ஆட்ர தொண்டு நிறுவனத்துலேருந்து எங்களுக்கு காசு கொடுத்தாங்க 3 மாதம். அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன பண்ணுறதுன்னு நாங்கள் யோசிச்சுருந்தோம். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஆட்ர குழுவிலேயே எங்களுக்கு வீட்டு தோட்டம் அமைக்க உதவி பண்ணாங்க. இயற்கை ஊற விவசாயம் என்னன்னு எனக்கு இங்கே வந்த பிறகு தான் அந்த ஆட்ர தொண்டு தான் எனக்கு தெரிய வந்தது. தோட்டம் வந்து இயற்கையாக இப்படிதான் செய்யணும் அப்படின்ட்டு ஒரு ஆர்வத்தை உற்சாகத்தை எங்களுக்குள்ள கொடுத்தாங்க. தார நிறுவனத்து மூலியமா எங்களுக்கு எவ்வளோ உதவி பண்ணிக்கிறாங்க. அவங்க அவங்க கஷ்டத்தை எடுத்துக்கின்னு எங்களுக்கு எவ்வளோ உதவி பண்றாங்க. அதுக்காக நன்றி.
Uncover the essence of our church mission through diverse perspectives within our community. Here are some thoughts on what it means to preach the gospel.
Being involved in mission is being intentional every day, every time, all the time.
Being engaged for me is just, when you can work for something that you like and also you can take care of people and also you have a hope in Jesus.
To be engaged in mission for me is to be useful for other people.
To be involved in mission, I believe it means to be present in the community and to be involved and to be there when people need you.
Being engaged in mission is to give Bible studies, which is very important to lead people to Christ.
Being engaged in mission for me means pushing myself into situations and circumstances when I'm with people who aren't like me.
Being engaged in mission for me means to be able to meet people in the community, to be able to identify what it is they need, and just to be able to connect with people in the community.
Engaged in mission for me is about creating spaces for young people to be involved in the church and let them thrive.
Engaging in mission for me is to be with the children in my church. For the past 20 years, I have been working with the Sabbath School and Pathfinders, and it actually gives me joy, and also it helps me to stay connected with God.
Engaged in mission means to spread good news about who God is.
In mission means for me my life.
My role as a legal counsel is to help the church stay out of trouble. So my focus on mission is to make sure that everyone else can do their work by staying focused on mission.
So being engaged in mission to me means meeting Jesus where he is already at work, waiting for me to experience him and to meet him in the stranger.
What does it mean for you to be engaged in mission?
It means that I will share Jesus Christ with everyone that I come in contact with, beginning with my family first.
For me, that means to be out there to learn about other people, their needs. So it's not oriented towards me, but it's oriented on others.
During the end-of-year meeting for the Trans-European Division, there was an emphasis on the importance of each member getting personally involved in spreading the Word of God. Here are some additional insights.
What it means for me to be in mission, it means that I'm engaging actively with people, and it doesn't necessarily mean talking about Christ. It means being there in their space, offering assistance, and being a friend.
Mission for me means that I should be able to tell anyone, my friends, my family, about Jesus in some form or fashion. So if it means baking a cake and giving it to someone and just saying, I love you, that's engagement.
Evangelistic campaign in Nigeria leads to over 5,600 baptisms.
The Almost Home campaign, led by Pastor Christopher Holland from Hope Channel International, took place in Port Harcourt, Nigeria, and aimed to spread hope in a troubled world. The campaign resulted in 5,645 individuals being baptized across 2,210 downlink centers in eastern Nigeria, with 1,010 baptisms in Port Harcourt.
Revival coming to this earth that will sweep across the world, that will deceive many, and Matthew 24 says, will deceive, if possible, the very elect of God.
Among the many stories of transformation that followed this evangelistic series is the story of James Enuada Didia, who renounced ancestral worship despite threats. His conversion led to the destruction of sacred objects and his baptism, symbolizing a significant spiritual shift. Numerous testimonies of healing and conversions emerged during the campaign, emphasizing the impact of Pastor Holland's messages. The outreach also drew attention from diverse media channels and influential figures, showcasing the campaign's significance. Despite challenges, the event's success in engaging members in prayer and mission was recognized and celebrated, reinforcing the impact of media ministries and the commitment to spreading God's message.
How does the Adventist Church's belief in the second coming of Christ help us to discern the signs of the times in our current global context? How does our hope in this future event inspire us to live with purpose, love, and anticipation? Let's take a look as Frank Hazel and Keldy Peroshk are joined by guest Michael Sukopa to explore the 24th fundamental belief of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Why is the second coming the great climax of the gospel? Any ideas?
I think as we look at the very beginning of the gospel, many people think that the gospel begins in the New Testament. But indeed, it starts in the very first book of the Bible, the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis. In Genesis 3, verse 15, we have the first gospel message. But then the climax of that message is found in this blessed hope of the soon coming of Christ. And everything that happens in between is God's work in restoring our world back to that original state in which it was. So in the book of Titus, chapter 2, we find this very word, blessed hope, captured there to give us that hope of that climax when Jesus will put everything back to its original state.
Interesting.
That's an important point. You know, in theology, we'll talk about the already but not yet. You know, we live in this time where Jesus has already come. He has already died for us. He has conquered sin. He has conquered death, but not yet completely. So we're living in this state of God's promises have been fulfilled, but we're still waiting for their final, full completion. And that's what will happen at the second coming of Jesus. So we're waiting for that final completion when everything, like you said, will be restored to its original state, just how God intended things to be.
To watch the full episode, visit the official website of the Seventh-day Adventist Church in English on YouTube. Church leaders in Manila, the capital of the Philippines, share transformative strategies in leadership, empowerment, and development. They presented effective strategies on discipling the young secular.
Beyond theoretical concepts, pastors emphasized practical steps to actively invest in the potential of the younger generation. This includes trusting in their abilities and fostering a sense of shared purpose. The leadership in Manila emphasizes the importance of guiding young minds in their quest for meaning and purpose, contributing not only to personal growth, but also to spiritual development.
We as disciples need to invite these people to discover their meaning and their purpose, which is rooted in God.
Among the strategies implemented in Manila, Philippines, is the reassessment of small group dynamics, encouraging participants to explore innovative approaches for more effective engagement and connection.
Maybe some of you are familiar with the concept of third place. A third place is not your place, it's not their place. It's a place where you can meet them together. It could be, you know, a center of influence, parks, restaurant or cafe, or even a gym. And we did several of this.
It involves nurturing an individual to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, embracing his teachings and becoming agents of change in their families, communities, in short, a potential disciple maker in the future.
Leaders also highlight the use of technology and church planting as strategic tools for community growth and outreach.
Upon accepting the call, we aim to plant new churches to meet the spiritual needs of diverse communities in our place, and ultimately increasing the involvement of our church members. The success of endeavors relies on the effectiveness of disciple-making as a catalyst for motivating pastors and lay members to actively participate in this program, especially in reaching the young secular minds in Manila, Philippines.
Advent Health University in Orlando, Florida, secures a significant state grant to enhance simulation equipment for its nursing program. Tom Johnson brings more details.
Hi, I'm Tom Johnson. An important development to tell you about with Advent Health University's nursing program, which just received a large state grant to go toward more simulation equipment. The grant sends more than $574,000 to AHU. The money comes from Florida's new Linking Industry to Nursing Education, or LINE Fund. Advent Health's healthcare system is committed to matching the grant as well. The funds will be used to buy new and additional simulation equipment to train our future nursing team members.
Adventist Hospital in Mexico recognized as a compassionate institution for its free eye surgery program.
During the 15th World Meeting of Values, the Charter for Compassion, an international organization operating in over 50 countries, recognized La Carlota Hospital as a compassionate institution. The leaders of La Carlota Hospital view this acknowledgement as validation of their initiatives that benefit the community, aligning seamlessly with the institution's core mission and values. Recently, the hospital's free ophthalmological surgery campaign restored vision and improved the quality of life for 70 individuals facing cataract and retinopathy issues. This 3-day surgical initiative, held at La Carlota Hospital Vision Institute, encompassed 40 cataract surgeries and 30 retinal treatments. Additionally, 120 more cataract surgeries have been scheduled at no cost for the future, offering hope to numerous individuals grappling with these conditions. A dedicated team of specialized experts from the Vision Institute generously donated their time and expertise to carry out these ophthalmological procedures.
In southern Chile, a colporteur's visit to an elderly woman who received a life-changing book 50 years ago sparked a spiritual revival, ultimately leading to her acceptance of Christ and baptism. Literature evangelism, the door-to-door distribution of Christian and health literature to support students in college, plays a pivotal role in this transformative journey for many worldwide.
When you go out to do colportage, you never know what story you might come across. And that day I had been literally knocking on doors all day and none of them had opened for me in that passage until I arrived at Sister Maria's house and she opened it for me. I arrived at the park where I was able to show her the conflict of the centuries and she was immediately enchanted. Sometime later I also found out that it was a book that she had already read more than 50 years ago.
I bought it from a man who sold books. And I became interested in the volumes of medicine and in the great controversy as well. And when I read the book, I was very interested in it because it talks about the beginning of the world up to the present time, that the conflict is already at its peak.
I believe that the main goal of the colporteur is to be able to reach, as it is always said, places where no one else can reach, to be able to reach all those people who are really waiting for a long time, maybe for the visit of the colporteur. And it is indeed true that God allowed me to be guided to where Mrs. Maria was, so that I could fully dedicate her life to the Lord.
Thanks to the little sister that she spoke to me once again about baptism. And many things that made me reflect.
Therefore, as colporteurs, we try to see every home we visit as a candidate for the kingdom of heaven. And we present all this complete message, both the health manuals as well as the religious manuals, trying to make sure that the person can be left with something so that, if not now, in the future, he can make his decision for the Lord and can see that the main thing in his life is God and that there is nothing else.
And today, we see a work that began 50 years ago, and that has been fulfilled, as is the testimony of our sister Maria, who has given her life to Jesus through baptism.
In a commitment to empower women, reignite faith, and advance Christian service forward, the church in Taiwan held the 2023 edition of the Women's Leaders Conference.
The 2023 Taiwan Women Leaders Conference, organized by women's ministries of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, focused on empowering women as disciples of Jesus. Held at Taiwan Adventist College, the conference aimed to elevate the value of women and enable them to practice Christian service. More than 80 women from 10 districts in the Taiwan conference participated. The theme, I Am a Woman God Can Use, was explored through messages and music, emphasizing joy, service, and freedom. The event concluded with prayers of consecration and a commitment to reach the world with the love of Christ.
Salvador Marchisio, a pioneering missionary, persevered through challenges while establishing Mexico's first Seventh-day Adventist Church amid the turmoil of the Mexican Revolution. Welcome to Pioneers of Hope, where we explore remarkable stories like his.
Mexico. In 1891, Salvador Marchisio went to Mexico City as a pioneer missionary. Born in Italy, Salvador moved to the United States at age 21. He eventually made his way to California, where he learned about the Adventist message while a patient at St. Helena Hospital. He resisted the message at first, but after 2 years of studying with A.T. Jones, he was convinced. He returned to Italy to share the message with his family, but was turned away. He returned to the U.S., where he felt God's call to carry this message to Mexico. At his own expense, he traveled to Mexico City in 1891, hoping to sell copies of The Great Controversy. He soon realized the wealthy wouldn't buy religious books that weren't approved by the priest, and the poor couldn't afford books, even if they could read. Plus, the books were in English. Despite these obstacles, he still sold 2,500 books. Salvador returned to Battle Creek in the U.S. to study nursing, and then went back to Mexico to join other missionaries in Guadalajara. In 1899, he returned to Mexico City. Salvador followed Jesus' method of ministry. He taught people how to build homes and how to cook better meals. He helped the sick, and he taught people the Adventist message. During his time as a missionary, Salvador served as colporteur, Bible worker, translator, and a minister. He stayed during the Mexican Revolution and was captured and threatened by soldiers from both sides. Still, he persevered, determined to carry a message of hope to the people of Mexico. Thanks to his influence, the first Seventh-day Adventist Church in Mexico was established in 1899 by George Washington Cavanis, more than 120 years ago in the Tacubaya part of Mexico City. Today, there are more than 9,000 churches and companies, and some 800,000 Seventh-day Adventists in Mexico, meaning that there is one Adventist for every 163 people. To pioneer missionaries like Salvador Marchisio, we say, gracias.
Thank you for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Did you know the Seventh-day Adventist Church has a YouTube channel where you can watch ANN Video, ANN In Depth, and plenty of other amazing videos on prophecy, health, and Bible study? Just go to YouTube and search for the Adventist Church. Make sure you click the subscribe button so you will never miss a new video. And remember, leave a comment or a prayer request. We have a team dedicated to praying for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Before we say goodbye, we'll leave you with some good news from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verse 5. As you do not know the path of the wind, or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit adventist.news for daily news and videos. Until next time, when we will have more news of faith, love, and hope. God bless.